Well, there is never a dull day at the 49ers facility. It's never boring. I swear. I don't remember the last time there was a boring day at the facility. Hell, Beyonce is playing a concert right now at Levi's Stadium. So that was about to start as I left, but now I have 49ers intel for you where Kyle Shanahan spoke today, where John Lynch spoke today, where the 49ers practiced later than usual today because they're finalizing their practice squad, at least finalizing the practice squad to begin this entire journey. It's probably going to change several times. This is just the first roster. It is definitely not the last one. But as Shanahan and Lynch spoke about their new roster, they also spoke about their quarterback situation, quarterbacks present, but mainly quarterbacks past. Jimmy Garoppolo's comments about the weird situation came in, and then Kyle Shanahan did some adjective parsing of his own. We'll talk about that in a second. It seemed that Kyle Shanahan might have been a little bit bothered by Jimmy Garoppolo's comments. So we'll play those. We'll play Kyle Shanahan's answers to them in this show. There's a lot to go through from the 49ers facility today. Of course, we will unveil the practice squad because that doesn't complete, but it fills up the 49ers 70-man roster. And they are now ready to go for the regular season, with the exception of one big piece, and that is Nick Bosa. And I have some stuff to say about Nick Bosa and the details of how that negotiation and that contract are going to affect the 49ers' larger picture that I don't think you've heard anywhere else. So we can go through with that as well. All right. So why don't we start with, we could start with, I have a lot to decide here. Do we start? Yeah, we'll start with the practice squad. We'll let a few more people roll in. 49ers practice squad. Take a look right now. It's going to be big up on the screen for you right now. This is a look at the 49ers new depth chart. This is your first look at the 49ers completed depth chart for this 2023 season. The practice squatters are on the right side that I'm highlighting right here. And my projected practice squad is on the right with the players who I got correct shaded in green. I forgot to shade Chris Conley in green. Need to give myself a little bit more credit for that one. I did not get the players who are shaded in that pinkish red correct, though. That's because a lot of them were poached by other teams, and we'll talk about that in a second. But first, the 16, or technically the 17, counting Alfredo Gutierrez, that are with the 49ers. The running back, Brian Hill, remember, he took a few snaps for the 49ers back in the 2021 season down the stretch. He rejoined the team about a week ago, not too long ago, earned a spot on the practice squad. Jack Coletto did not get poached on the waiver wire. He might be the fullback of the future. He's aboard for the 49ers. I'll zoom in, by the way, in case people can't see, so you could see the whole practice squad here. The players in red, I don't have an IR column yet. They moved Danny Gray to injured reserve with the shoulder and Robert Beal Jr. to injured reserve with a hamstring strain. They are not on the practice squad. So that's why they're designated IR, shaded there in red. Chris Conley, look at this. 4 receivers for the 49ers on the practice squad. Chris Conley, the veteran. Tay Martin, who had a really, really nice camp. Willie Snead, who made the nicest catch of camp. And Isaiah Winstead. He's more of a developmental guy, the tallest receiver on the 49ers at 6'4". The reason why they have 4 here is because Ray McLeod is hurt over here, and Danny Gray is already on IR. So this is a thin receiver room. If there were a game right now, only 4 of these players on the 53 would be ready to go, which means you're going to need supplementation from the practice squad, which is a big reason why you have 4. And I think all 4 are deserving to be on that practice squad. Conley, Martin, Snead, and Isaiah Winstead. All reliable, Troy Fumagalli, tight end. He has made the practice squad as well for the 49ers. Not a surprise there with Cam Latu getting the injury red shirt. They wanted at least one tight end on the P squad, and that is Troy Fumagalli. Couple offensive linemen. Obviously, they wanted to keep Ilm Manning. They weren't able to. The Arizona Cardinals poached him. The Arizona Cardinals poached Keith Ismail. So the 49ers, and by the way, the Cardinals running an expansion draft over there in the desert. Not good for that roster. The fact they had to pick up 6 guys, 6 total. The 49ers had the most claimed. The Cardinals did the most claiming at 6. But Leroy Watson, Corey Luciano. Watson, obviously, just in his second season playing tackle after the conversion from tight end. 49ers excited to work with him behind the scenes for another year. And Corey Luciano, he is a local product. I believe Monte Vista High School, but he's from Danville. And Corey signed with the 49ers practice squad, stayed home after spending training camp with them. A player who did not re-sign with the 49ers practice squad was Joey Fisher, the really strong offensive lineman. Had the most bench press reps of any O lineman in the, well, he wasn't in the combine, but in this draft class. He signed with Pittsburgh. So the 49ers might see Fisher week 1. I doubt that he'll be playing for the Steelers, but Joey Fisher might have chosen to go closer to home because I know the 49ers were interested in bringing him back to the practice squad, but did not work out. Notice the 49ers only took one edge rusher on their practice squad. Robert Beal is on IR, but they took Alex Barrett. I'm going to have to tell you guys again, death, taxes, and Alex Barrett on the 49ers practice squad. It's been a long time. It's been since 2019 now, I believe, for Alex Barrett on the practice squad. But he's the only edge rushing depth on the practice squad, which might be a sign that the 49ers are confident that this guy right here, Nick Bosa, is going to sign before week 1, or at least sign soon. T.Y. McGill, Marlon Davidson, couple veteran defensive tackles round out the practice squad. 49ers were impressed with both of them. Just really an extension of the 53-man roster when you take two veterans, two seasoned guys like Davidson and T.Y. McGill on the squad with you. So they will be there to help insulate the 49ers depth, especially if Kalia Davis has to continue working back slowly. You know, we know he had some residual issues that he was just kind of working through on a pitch count through training camp. Curtis Robinson, not Marcelino McCrary Ball, onto the 49ers practice squad. McCrary Ball is now with the Jets and Robert Saleh. So they took D. Winters, they took Jalen Graham, but they did not take Marcelino McCrary Ball, and it might have been Marcelino's decision to go sign with the Jets. Curtis Robinson is on the 49ers practice squad now. Could have some good special teams flexibility upward. Trey Swilling, good coverage from him, good developmental cornerback. The 49ers like him as a player. Trey Swilling was part of this football team's practice squad now. They added another corner, and I put him at nickel back, and this is a guy that has played for the Packers, a 5th-round draft pick of 2021, Shamar Jean-Charles. Not overly great measurables, a 4.5 40, but with John Charles, he had 16 pass breakups his senior year, his final season at Appalachian State in 2020. That actually led the nation. So this is a guy who covered well in college, hasn't had much of a chance yet in the pros. John Lynch said he's a really good special teams player, and that might be how he punches his ticket with the 49ers. And finally, one of the big gets for the 49ers practice squad was Quantrez Knight. Quantrez Knight, the versatile DB, can play essentially any position in the defensive backfield. The 49ers did not want to lose him. They did not lose him to waivers. So Quantrez, he might be a guy that gets flexed up this year when the 49ers need somebody at any position. I mean, he's given himself the best chance at a promotion by being able to play nickel, by being able to play safety, by being able to play outside cornerback. And I still need to add the international exception. He's a tackle, and his name is Alfredo Gutierrez. There he is, Alfredo Gutierrez. Let's put him into that international exception orange. Oops, wrong one. Got to put him into the international exception orange color, which is this one right here. There we go. So Alfredo Gutierrez is on there, but he does not count against the 49ers 70-man total. So we'll have to fix that later. We'll have to fix the counter later. But Gutierrez will be along for the ride again with the 49ers. So that is their practice squad. Hopefully you guys are happy with it. A lot of people always, you know, it's like get a grip. Yes, Ilm Manning signed with the Cardinals. You had a couple other poachings. You had Marcelino McCrary Ball go to the Jets. I don't know if that was a poaching or if McCrary Ball just wanted a change of scenery. Deshaun Jameson did get poached by the Carolina Panthers. Joey Fisher decided to sign with the Steelers practice squad. You're going to lose players in the NFL. And especially if you're a deep roster like the 49ers. Saw so many tweets today, or posts on X that they now call it. Oh, the 49ers made a big mistake. They should have kept Deshaun Jameson. They should have kept Ilm Manning. It's like, do you realize that the 49ers are not playing with a 56-man roster? It's not like they have a 56-man limit and every other team is 53. The 49ers have to fit their team within 53 as well. And there are costs and benefits. There's opportunity costs to not carrying certain players. So you have to weigh all of those at all times. It's this bigger picture thing. It's not as easy as just tweeting they should have carried Deshaun Jameson. They made a huge mistake. And then there's like these simplistic takes like, oh, they shouldn't have carried Brandon Allen. Well, the 49ers had good intelligence, and this is called 49ers Intel, by the way. It's funny. 49ers had good intelligence that Brandon Allen was going to be scooped up by somebody else. And it's not that hard to figure out because if they would have cut Brandon Allen and wanted to bring him back to the practice squad, the most they could have paid him would have been about $371,000. The veteran minimum, if another team wanted to have them on a 53-man roster, which the 49ers gathered would have happened because they talked to people around the league. I don't think that randos on Twitter talk to people around the league. But he would have made $1.08 million elsewhere. So, of course, Brandon Allen would have taken $1.08 million over $371,000. So you have to carry Brandon Allen on your roster. Yes, that takes a spot. Does that take a spot away from somebody like Ilm Manning, an unproven offensive tackle out of Hawaii or offensive guard out of Hawaii who played tackle, who's 6'2"? Yes, it does. Would you have loved to keep Ilm Manning? Yes, you would have. Is it feasible on a 53-man roster? Probably not. They didn't have the numbers for it. Manning, Zakelj, I talked about why they took Nick Zakelj. They're going to take physical upside at an O-line position that's developmental. They're not going to take a 6'2" guy who you're not sure if he's tall enough to play the position sustainably for a long time. They weren't looking at Ilm Manning as a tackle. He wasn't competing with Jalen Moore and with Matt Pryor, who was playing tackle out of necessity, but they were looking at him as a guard. But anyway, then, these people will come back with, oh, they don't need Brandon Allen. My response to that is, did you watch last season? Did you watch the 49ers literally run out of quarterbacks? The people that complain about the 49ers rostering Brandon Allen are the same people that complain about the 49ers having to turn to Josh Johnson with their season on the line in the NFC Championship game. They said, well, Johnson is garbage. This is not good. Well, the 49ers reacted to that. The 49ers didn't want to have a subpar quarterback if they hit an emergency situation this year. So they went out and got another team's former number 2. Brandon Allen was the former number 2 to Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. He's thrown for 371 yards in a game in his NFL career before. They got Brandon Allen. They put him on their football team, and they realized they wouldn't be able to sneak him to the practice squad because the practice squad would only offer $371,000 maximum salary. So they had to do it. These people that are acting like they're general managers or they know more than somebody that's literally studying this all day, this roster all day, it's kind of tiresome on the internet. It really is. So anyway, that is the spiel for today on the roster. We're going to go to more 49ers intel because today was fun. Today we got to hear a little bit about Jimmy Garoppolo because Jimmy Garoppolo, just for background, said this the other day. Why don't you have a listen?
Dallas.
Weird situation. Been a lot of weird situations over there in San Francisco, just to leave it at that. But, I'm happy Trey got another shot, man.
How do you think San Francisco's handled those quarterback situations?
How do you think they've handled them?
I think it's been messy. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it.
Woo! Jimmy Garoppolo called the 49ers quarterback situation a weird one. Then he answers the question with a question. That's spicy if we're talking about spicy, feisty stuff. And then he says that's a nice way to put it if you say that it's messy. So Jimmy Garoppolo, yeah, some shots fired. Kyle Shanahan had a chance to answer the shots that were fired. This happened today at the facility.
And I have felt very good about that. I did see Trey. I was happy watching him actually while I was eating lunch with his press conference in Dallas. And Trey is as real as it gets. And that's how he talks in here. That's how he is every day. So it was cool to see him handle that the right way. And he did seem genuinely kind of happy. And I feel he's in a good position to move on and do better there. Jimmy, the comments are the comments. I'm really not concerned about his comments.
Do you feel any relief? Do you sense that this kind of era of lots of changing is over?
The era of changing is, when we got here, we waited 10 weeks and made a trade for a quarterback, played 5 games, and then we made him the highest paid quarterback of all time at the time. Then he played 2 of the next 5 years and did really good in those 2 years. His injuries for 3 of those 5 years were legit. It was rough on him, rough on us. And then we made a move to go to a younger quarterback, and that's what we did. We thought he'd be ready in 2 years, and he wasn't. And now we have a different younger quarterback. So that's the situation.
Speaking of, I mean, Jimmy did say, it's been a weird situation over there. Obviously, it's not the way you drew it up, but can you acknowledge that, yeah, it kind of has been a weird situation here last few years?
Yeah, I think anytime you trade up to the 3rd pick in the draft and it doesn't work out, that's the weird situation. But that is the situation. So that's what happened. I don't think it's that weird. It's unusual that doesn't work out. But I wouldn't think that's weird. I think it's unusual. What do you think?
Well, I think looking back at Jimmy, like the fact that he said goodbye, the day after that one season's over, and he's, all the things that happened with him physically, he comes back, he's, on the side field and ends up re-signing and starting, and it just seems like, it's been a unique.
Do you remember why that happened?
I remember why everything happened, but I'm just saying it's been a unique situation.
I agree, it's been unique.
There's
Thanks,
Kyle
guys.
Shanahan. Oh boy. So, at the end of the day, this is what was going on. We're arguing about semantics, or Kyle Shanahan was arguing about semantics, right? That was Matt Mayoko, NBC Sports Bay Area, referring to Jimmy Garoppolo's comments and asking Kyle Shanahan, yeah, do you agree with Jimmy that it has been a little bit weird? Because I think anybody thinks that, yeah, it's been weird. The 49ers took a quarterback, and Jimmy Garoppolo was been top 3 efficiency since he came in 2017 to the 49ers. So he's done a lot of good stuff, but he's gotten hurt a lot. They took a quarterback with that good of a track record. They tried to replace him with Trey Lance for salary cap purposes, essentially. They've talked about that before. They also wanted to expand the footprint of the offense with some mobility. That obviously didn't work out. None of it worked out. Jimmy Garoppolo stayed around longer than people thought that he would because the 49ers needed him and the good quarterbacking skills that he provided. And then Brock Purdy came in and finally gave the 49ers what they were looking for out of a young quarterback. If you ask me, that's very weird. You don't see what happened, what has happened for the 49ers at the quarterback position over the past several years very often. But Kyle Shanahan, in his first sentence after Matt asked the question, he said, yeah, of course it's weird. And then it seemed that he started to doubt his perception of the word weird. And he's like, no, I don't think it's weird. I think it's unusual. And weird and unusual are synonyms. And then at the end, Kyle Shanahan said, yeah, unique. I'll give you that. So weird, unusual, unique. All 3 of these words mean essentially the same thing. But Kyle Shanahan only likes unusual and unique situation. So we are arguing about semantics. If I had to say anything to judge what happened here, I think that weird has possibly a more negative connotation than unusual or unique. So Kyle Shanahan might be a little bit more sensitive about the line of questioning because I'm sure that he was a little bit bothered by what Jimmy Garoppolo said. We've talked about it a lot, right? This goes back to me talking about it last year. There had been an edge in that Shanahan-Garoppolo relationship. How could there not have been an edge? Because of what happened in 2021, Shanahan drafting Trey Lance, trying to run thread the needle, right? Run the 2-timeline offense with Trey Lance mixing in with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's set up to be awkward. I still do think that Shanahan and Garoppolo got a lot of good performance out of each other. There was some good creative tension there, but it still seems to be a sore subject. They didn't shake hands on the field in Las Vegas during the 2 practices. Shanahan has said nice things about Jimmy Garoppolo, about him being the best 49ers quarterback since Steve Young. But it doesn't seem like outside of comments to the media that this is particularly amicable. And Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously, we heard from him. We heard him talking about the weird situation and how, Shanahan has overseen that in the 49ers quarterback room. So Shanahan, in response to weird, didn't like that word from Jimmy Garoppolo. He likes unusual, or he likes unique better. Unusual or unique. They may all be synonyms, but there's a little bit less of a negative connotation with unusual or with unique than there is with weird. I did, however, appreciate Shanahan's quarterback summary that he made. And I'll read this one to you again because this is, I think this is a concise, well put version of what happened, and it's all true. Quote, after the start of the regime, so here's the start of the quote. We waited 10 weeks, made a trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. He played 5 games, and we made him the highest paid quarterback of all time at the time. Then he played 2 of the next 5 years and did really good in those 2 years. His injuries for 3 of those 5 years were legit. It was rough on him, rough on us. Then we made a move to go get a younger quarterback. That was Trey Lance. We thought he would be ready in 2 years, and he wasn't. And now we have a different younger quarterback. That's Brock Purdy. So that's the situation. If you had to succinctly summarize the 49ers moves at quarterback, that's exactly it. And there are a couple lines that stick out to me. First, Kyle Shanahan said that we made Jimmy Garoppolo the highest paid quarterback of all time at the time. And then he played 2 of the next 5 years and did really good in those 2 years. But he had injuries in 3 of the next 5. And then here's one thing. His injuries in 3 of those 5 years were legit. There were so many rumors that just weren't based in truth that were trying to say that Jimmy Garoppolo was trying to get out of playing or something. That's not true. He was actually hurt. And that's why the 49ers had to move on from him, because he was just getting hurt too much for them. It was rough on him, rough on us, Kyle Shanahan said. He then mentioned Trey Lance. We then made the move to go to a younger quarterback. Here's the damning quote about Trey Lance, or about the whole situation. I wouldn't say that it's damning about Trey Lance, but obviously the situation didn't work out. Quote Kyle Shanahan, we thought he'd be ready in 2 years, and he wasn't. It's about as succinctly as you could put the Trey Lance failed experiment right into a summary. That's it. We thought he'd be ready in 2 years, and he wasn't. And now we have a different, younger quarterback. So that is the situation. So out of today's Kyle Shanahan talk and Kyle Shanahan back and forth about whether or not the word weird is appropriate, or if we need to use something else like unusual or unique, we got that great quarterback summary from Kyle Shanahan. No, folks, the 49ers are not trading Nick Bosa. Here's what Kyle Shanahan had to say about that.
I can imagine anything. Doesn't mean I like that picture. Of course not. You guys know how we feel about Nick, and we all know how good of a player he is. So hopefully we can come to terms soon and get him here as fast as possible.
And John Lynch.
Real simple. No. Real simple. Yeah.
That was, I think, Larry Krueger asking, is there a percentage chance that you would move off of Nick Bosa via trade? And John Lynch said, no, really simple. Throughout the entire saga here with Nick Bosa, the 49ers have stuck true to that. They've said Nick Bosa is the one player that they've actually categorized as untouchable. They haven't, throughout this entire regime, they have not categorized a single player as untouchable in trade other than Nick Bosa. So that Reddit rumor was a little bit crazy yesterday. Anyway, we should talk about Nick Bosa contract dynamics. It's a good time for me to drink some ice water before the ice fully melts. It's warm in the Bay Area, by the way. 90 degrees down in Santa Clara today for practice, and they practice later to give themselves time to finalize that practice squad. Warm in the city after I got back. Probably great weather for the Beyonce concert tonight at Levi Stadium. Everything is good. I want to show you our 49ers salary cap page, because as you can see on the text title beneath me, I make a point. And this point, I think, is important for anyone that follows this Nick Bosa contract situation to understand. If you don't understand this, then you probably don't understand many things about the situation, because it is very, very nuanced. So first, we'll start with this. We'll open up the 49ers salary cap look. This obviously is available to you. I keep track of this. this is what the 49ers salary cap situation projects to be when week 1 starts. And when week 1 starts, you don't have any offseason breaks anymore. In offseason, only your 51 most expensive cap hits count. During the season, everything counts. So starting week 1, all 53 are going to count. The entire practice squad is going to count. And I haven't added the practice squad names yet, but I put in estimated salaries. I think it's going to cost about $4 million. All of your injured reserve cap hits are going to count. So you've got to be ready to fit everything. The 49ers have a total of $237.5 million to spend this year. That's their adjusted cap. It includes credits from last year and all that. This roster that I put together based on what I know so far, and I don't know the exact numbers yet, but I'm damn close. This is $1 million over the cap. 49ers are going to have to do something to get under the cap. So what might they do to get under the cap? Well, the one thing the 49ers can do to get under the cap, one thing I think that they've seriously counted on in their budget is a contract extension for Nick Bosa. I cannot say this enough. Nick Bosa is a problem on their 2024 cap where the 49ers are already way too full. So it's going to be a long-term contract. You're going to have to decide how to allocate the money. Almost every single big contract the 49ers sign, especially now because they've budgeted for it to happen this way with their salary cap, the cap hit is more manageable in year 1 than later. And Bosa currently is under contract for $17.9 million here in year 1. It's a big cap hit. I think the 49ers can get that cap hit down to about $10 million with a new deal. And if you look at this, they really need to do that because they're going to be over the cap when the season starts, and you can't be over the cap. So they're going to have to free up some room no matter what. Not just to be under the cap, the 49ers also want to make potential trades. You have to be ready to absorb the cap hit of a player that you trade for. They have to be ready to sign new players, right? Guys who get hurt are going to need a replacement. So you have to have spending money entering the season. The spending money that teams normally like to have is between $5 and $10 million entering the season. Well, if Nick Bosa's contract, if he signs a new one, if that can save you $10 million or even $8 million this year, and you currently are right up against the cap, well, you can do the math easily, right? That is exactly the amount. It's the missing puzzle piece. It fits perfectly for the 49ers to be financially ready for this 2023 season. So along those lines, I asked John Lynch about it. I asked John Lynch if he is counting on Nick Bosa's contract and the fact that it probably will be backloaded to allow the 49ers to operate in this 2023 season by way of the salary cap.
Now with your salary cap to where you're going to have the in-season flexibility that you want, and will getting Nick done help that for 2023? Is that a piece of that equation?
I hope that's part of the equation. But we're in good spot there. We're in we're good. We're good there, and it's I always want to be pressing that window, and we certainly are. But we got enough room to be able to do some things if need be.
So John Lynch says the 49ers have enough room to do some things if need be. And when I'm looking at the sheet right now, they're right up against the limit. So I think by that he means they'd have to restructure somebody. I think that John Lynch absolutely, the first part of his answer there, I think was the most relevant. The first part of his answer said that he certainly hopes that Nick Bosa is part of the equation, because if Bosa and a new contract is part of the equation and it lowers his cap hit to $10 million, look what it does to the equation. 49ers, all of a sudden, they have $7 million in space. So all this is important in the big picture for the 49ers to get stuff done. We talk about the need to get Bosa onto the field for football purposes. I'm going to have a big article on that coming out on The Athletic tomorrow morning. Make sure you're subscribed to that. $1 a month right now. If you need me to toss another article in the description, I will. And go ahead and subscribe to our coverage on The Athletic, because for football reasons, obviously Bosa is irreplaceable. And I talk about it in the article that's coming out tomorrow morning. But I think for our salary cap purposes, it's also really important that the 49ers sign Nick Bosa. Now, you might be wondering, why would Nick Bosa sign a deal that would help the 49ers salary cap this season? And if you need me to explain that in greater detail, I can. And, this could be the article that you check out. I'm going to put this in the description. Mike is watching right now. Mike, if you could put this in the description, please. This is what Nick Bosa's new contract, the likely 49ers record, might look like. I delve into it, and I delve into the contract mechanics. Look, we got our end of summer sale, as you can see there, $1 a month for 12 months. So make sure that you sign up now. I'm going to sign in really quickly so we can take a look at some of the stuff in this piece, because some of the dynamics when it comes to Nick Bosa's contract are going to allow the 49ers to reshuffle money in a way that's advantageous now, and then how they structure this in the big picture with all the details. So the details have to take into account the big picture. How they structure it's going to determine how much space they have in 2024, especially a super crowded year moving forward. So I made my contract prediction here, and I have to be able to log in so that you guys can see this. Just give me 1 second. I want to show you the annual spend that's going to be part of this. Here it is. We got it ready. This Nick Bosa contract. Obviously, you have this right here, which is a look at the top edge rusher and the top defensive tackle contracts. I believe that in the negotiations that are ongoing, this is the gulf that might be causing some trouble. Obviously, Nick Bosa is going to be at the top of the edge rusher market, which right now the number one is TJ Watt, $28 million per year. But paying him Aaron Donald level money down here, $31.7 million per year, that's a big gap, right? 28 to 31.7. I suspect that Nick Bosa would want to be top of the defensive tackle market. And when the 49ers are that pressed up against the cap, a couple million a year, or in this case, $3.7 million per year, that's a big deal. So anyway, here's my proposed Nick Bosa contract. It's down at the very bottom of the screen. Could maybe make this a little bit wider. Yeah, this is going to help so you can see it. So there it is. I said $159 million for a contract that runs through 2028 technically, but Bosa's under contract for 2027. It's got a void year with the option bonus kicking in later. I think the 49ers are going to have to get creative by spreading the bonuses out, having a guaranteed option bonus on top of the signing bonus that is spread out like an accordion against the cap. And I really do think they can bring the 2023 cap hit down to about $10 million. Now, if they want to add a second bonus, they can do that too to try to keep the 24 cap hit as low as possible. And looking at the 49ers salary cap situation and how crowded it is in 2024, I think that might be something that the 49ers seriously consider doing. Anyway, sign up for that article. It's in the description. Mike is going to put it in there. And there's another big one that I wrote about Nick Bosa and him potentially, what the effect of him missing time would be, because I liken it to a game of chicken. Let me explain my game of chicken as I drink some water. So it's like the game of chicken, and both the 49ers and Nick Bosa are driving toward each other. They're still not close enough to get into a wreck. But if they continue on their current trajectory, which is not finalizing an extension, at some point they will have a head-on collision. There will be a wreck. People get hurt in head-on collisions, right? So if we're going to extend the metaphor, if there's a wreck here and they don't find a deal, Nick Bosa is not going to get his money. He's not going to be paid, not even the current contract that he's on. And the 49ers aren't going to get the Defensive Player of the Year on the field, which hurts the 49ers a lot as well, right? So this is why deadlines, like the week 1 deadline, typically spur action. Kind of like a game of chicken. This is when the two cars are about to hit each other, it spurs action. One person is going to swerve. So who's going to swerve first? That's going to determine who gets the best of this contract negotiation. I don't know who's going to swerve first. Well, we'll see. But at the end of the day, it is in both parties' best interest to take evasive action. And, both parties need each other. Bosa needs the 49ers for the handsome compensation. He wants to be the highest paid defensive player in NFL history, the highest paid 49er in history. This is going to surpass that Garoppolo deal that Kyle Shanahan talked about. And the 49ers, they have Super Bowl dreams. And let's be honest, to win a Super Bowl, this team probably needs Nick Bosa. So ultimately, both sides need each other, and we will see when they finally do come together with a deal that makes sense. Maybe in the coming days, who knows? It does seem like maybe, just maybe, there is some movement now on that front. Okay, I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to click on 49ers Q and A. It is time to open this up to your questions. I think we got like 527 comments. And StreamYard is running really slow today. I don't know if the titles are showing up in slow motion for you, but anytime I try to click on something on this website, it is just at a crawl. Like I've already clicked on comments, and the page, they finally opened. The page is being almost unresponsive. Has anyone had Submarine Center? Yes, I've had Submarine Center, West Portal, San Francisco. That's good. Hit the like, of course. Now I am just here waiting for some good questions. It brings a smile to my face to go to the comment section and see people talking about food in San Francisco. JC Montana asks, is there any worries about the 49ers depth along the O-line? Every single NFL team has O-line depth concerns right now, O-line depth worries. So yes, absolutely. Jalen Moore hasn't been great. Matt Pryor has been better, but even Colton McKivitz is a little bit of a concern, right? First time starting. So by extension, the depth is a concern. Now the 49ers went out and signed John Feliciano, who's as good of a reserve interior lineman as you're going to find in the NFL. Nick Zakel's their developmental guy. They have a few players on the practice squad, but there always is concern. And I say that, the concern does not stop with the depth at O-line. The first team offensive line is also a concern. The 49ers did pick up a new player today, Shamar Jean-Charles. He is a cornerback who was a 5th-round draft pick of the Green Bay Packers in 2021. He's been with Green Bay for 3 seasons. Now he's on the 49ers practice squad. As far as intel goes, he hasn't played much. I think only like 6 passes in coverage, but he led Appalachian State in 2020, or he led the nation while he was with Appalachian State with 16 pass breakups. So obviously has some good instincts, not great athleticism. John Lynch said his play speed is pretty fast. The 40 time was a 4.52, which wasn't great. I think that one of his only above average physical metric from combine testing was in the bench press. So he's strong. I think the 49ers liken that because he's 5'10" to good play on the interior. They look at Jean-Charles as an interior slot cornerback candidate, but they say that he's got inside-out adaptability, which is important for this defense. And they also say that he can play special teams, which might give him a chance to make this 49ers roster. The 49ers did not need to re-sign Braden Willis. He made the 53-man roster. So he was never cut in the first place. It wasn't exclusive news, it was an exclusive update about Nick Bosa. I think I'm telling you guys, and I asked John Lynch about salary cap stuff that makes it necessary for the 49ers to sign Nick Bosa sooner rather than later. We're still waiting for them to negotiate, but hopefully you get some of this stuff only here, only on The Athletic, only here about the nuances of Nick Bosa's contract. Or potential contract, I guess I should say. They did cut Willie Snead, but they added him to the practice squad. So Willie is still with the 49ers. Yeah, Deebo did take a few handoffs in training camp. I think that they're going to continue. They need to establish a credible enough threat of the run game with Deebo Samuel to make the receiving threat bigger, right? You've got to be able to show defenses that you're willing to throw to Christian McCaffrey on top of running the football, and you're willing to run the ball, hand off to Deebo Samuel on top of throwing the football to him, because that's what gives you the positionless skill position advantage. So I'd expect the 49ers to keep on calling those plays. Obviously, they're going to call more of them if the running backs are hurt. And right now, Jordan Mason has the foot sprain, but everyone else is theoretically available. Oh, you're talking about Jordan Willis. I'm not sure if Jordan Willis got signed. Want me to look? Let's go. Let's look. Type in Jordan Willis. Yeah, Jordan Willis got released by the Raiders. 49ers former defensive end. No, there are only articles saying that the 49ers need to bring him back. I don't see any actual news of him signing, but I could always search X, formerly known as Twitter. And I don't see any news of Jordan Willis signing anywhere. So we will wait. We'll wait and see if Jordan Willis does re-sign with the 49ers. At some point, they might need him if he's still available. So do not rule it out. I have no idea who's going to get cut after Bosa signs, but let's just wait for Bosa to sign first. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? Once Bosa signs, 49ers will be in a better position to decide what to do. Another thing about the practice squad is that they said they're going to be bringing in a kicker to the practice squad in all likelihood before the end of the weekend. So by Monday, I would think, because there's a bonus practice on Monday. And that is because Jake Moody's still hurt and they're going to play it safe. He might be ready for week 1. He might not. They don't need a long-term replacement at kicker. So no, not Robbie Gould. He wouldn't show up and sign to the 49ers practice squad. But they definitely are thinking about some shorter-term insurance at kicker. And that would be somebody they activated from the practice squad if they need him. 28 to 32 million. Is that realistic for Bosa? That's exactly the window we're talking about. 28 million is TJ Watt. 31.7 million is Aaron Donald. I think the 49ers want to keep it closer to Watt. Nick Bosa's camp probably wants closer or exceeding Aaron Donald. I would think that that's what the contention might be. No, Zane Gonzalez, they couldn't cut him because he's hurt. He strained his calf, so they put him on IR, which means he's ineligible to play for the 49ers this season, and they'll probably reach an injury settlement with Zane because he's currently taking up a $1.4 million cap hit, which is rather large. I don't have to say so if he's not going to play for this team. So I think they would find an injury settlement for Zane Gonzalez. We have Golden Dragon with a contract proposal. You notice mine was 5 years, 159 million. Yours is 5 years, 160 million. About 160 million. Sounds about right. So we'll see what happens. Is this like somebody advertising for Submarine Center in West Portal? I don't want one right now because I'm full. I had a burrito, but Submarine Center, West Portal, San Francisco, that will be a lunch with Lombardi spot at some point soon. And you can stop spamming the chat, man. We get it. I put you on the screen. You don't need to keep on putting the same thing in the chat section. Somebody's asking, K-Dubsville wants gambling advice. I'm not going to go there. I don't want to be held responsible if the 49ers don't win over 10.5 games. We have more sandwich recommendations. Santa Clara, crust sourdough deli. It's been a while since I had a home-cooked meal because my wife is currently not here. She's in Nashville. I'm going to see her tomorrow. That's great. So hopefully the home-cooked meal is going to happen sooner rather than later. When I'm in the city, though, I make it a point to go out to places and try to bring you the new spots. And me personally, when I make food, it's grilling pizza, but that's more of a leisure activity. And as you know, I haven't had much leisure time. Los Gatos Meats is really good. Nick Brockman talking about the triple bypass. I think that's one of the sandwich items at Los Gatos Meats. Nice. Big Belly Deli, South San Francisco. Yeah. People want to talk about food more than want to talk about football right now, which I find amusing. My win-loss prediction on the 49ers this year. I think they're going to win 12 games this year. We'll say 12-5 for the 49ers. I said 12-5 last year, and I think what will they go? 13-4? So ended up working out. Super Taco and Visalia. Love it. I would say, if you're going to be talking Super Taco and Visalia, you got to mention the OG Super Taco in Woodlake. All right, guys. 45 minutes. I think we hit it. Time for me to go chill out. It's been a good 49ers show. Why don't everybody subscribe? Sub to The Athletic, $1 a month. Link is in the description. Hit the sub button on the channel right now. Everybody have a good night. Have a good Labor Day weekend. Of course, the updates will not stop coming on Labor Day weekend because, we still have tomorrow with practice out at the 49ers facility. And who knows, maybe Nick Bosa is going to sign at some point really, really soon. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you shortly.